Good morning, Morning Musings by Melinda. How's everybody doing today? Yesterday we talked about having an awesome day and how you move into having an awesome life by staying in a state of awe by certain things that are the little things, kind of like stopping and smelling the roses. And I wondered if you looked at yesterday and said to yourself, what did I see today that was awe-inspiring? What did I feel today that inspired awe in me so that I could outweigh some of the drag of energy that's happening between us in this world when we're getting so sick of the COVID-19 and all the controversy about it, and we're all tired of the political commercials, and we're all weary of what's happening and trying to defend our ideas. And some of the things that you see on Facebook are so unbelievably outrageous. And I want to say that, common sense should prevail. Look at the chain of events around something. There's a chain of events, especially in people's lives. You can see chains of events of how they have interacted or performed or connected with others. And so suddenly somebody doesn't just become something negative. It's part of a chain. But that being said, what did you see that was awesome? Because we were talking about having an awesome day and starting this week, appreciate we're holding in awe. And one of the things that I always hold in awe is the measure of my husband's dedication to the family. Do you look at the people around you? And do you feel inspired by them? Yesterday, somebody called out a friend of mine by name and said, I'm in awe of you, Justine Scrimshire, which I am too, because there is a person who has been through a whole heck of a lot and still has always got a smile on her pretty face. So what's awe-inspiring to you? And today we're going to talk about letting go of guilt. My mother used to say that Jewish mothers created guilt and Catholic mothers perfected it. I've been born and raised Catholic and continue to practice my faith. Actually, I'm saying the rosary every day back again. And because I'm getting an awful lot of people that are asking me for prayer. Usually I have 2, 3, 4, 5 tops people reaching out to me, Facebook, text, message, whatever. I need prayers for this or that. Boy, right now I'm getting a ton of people asking for prayer because it's just been such a shit show 2020. Not just with everything else that's been going on, but in our own personal lives. Talk about a transitionary time. Whatever God is doing, we got to trust it because we are all confronted with a lot of issues that were unexpected during this time, and we all have to stay together and pray for each other and be in faith around it. But anyway, today we're talking about the trouble with guilt, and this is by Jacqueline Andriakos. And so the trouble with guilt is that it gnaws at your emotional well-being, and it creates negativity that rolls down a hill like a snowball, right? And if you're going into your mental gym and all you can find is guilt there, you are in a state of defeating yourself, because most of the time we manufacture guilt and we can't change some of the actions other than being responsible for them, not repeating patterns and being able to apologize. So we have to lift ourselves out of this spiral with an action plan. And here's what Jacqueline says is an action plan. And that is to identify your triggers. Actually, she's given this in a 3-week reframe. And the reason she's given this in 3 weeks is because it takes 21 days to change a habit. Even a thought habit has to be changed. So sometimes you're so accustomed to the way that you're thinking that you're not even in recognition that you are negative or that you're that person that other people steer away from because of negativity until someone smacks you in the face with it. And then you have to say, wow, maybe I am that person. Maybe I suffer from guilt or shame or embarrassment or jealousy or one of those lower body emotions to such the degree that I become that energy, and people are resistant of spending time with someone with that energy. So 21 days in order to change even a thought habit. And you have to go into your mental gym and do meditation and prayer, perhaps even something specific like I'm choosing to do with Eric's house this next 46 days, which is again to say the rosary every day, going back to my original roots. You know, your soul chose your religious belief system for a reason. I don't hold on to my old Catholic belief system hook, line, and sinker because I've integrated some energy that feels like it's got more common sense to me. And I'm an omnist. I believe there are basic truths in all major religions. And we shouldn't use religion to hide behind or to chastise somebody else or to give somebody a hard time or to say our way is the only way, because that's really not what Jesus was here to teach us. So week 1, you need to identify your guilt triggers. You have to recognize where the guilt is coming from. Pay attention to the times that you have pangs of guilt and look for specific themes. If one of your specific themes, for example, is spending money, which, you know, right now we have a specific theme during COVID-19 of overeating or maybe ordering things on Amazon or some things like that that we wouldn't normally do, okay? So if you have a special theme, take a look at what that is for you and how to make movement on it. If you feel guilty over some kind of a relationship and you've done your part to make an amends in regards to that relationship and there's still toxicity involved, you have no choice but to detach. But real love means that you detach by still loving the person that feels toxic to you. And if you walk around with guilt about a relationship that hasn't worked out for you, then you haven't neutralized it or put it into a state of forgiveness, and it's renting space in your mental gym for free. And so you have to make movement on that. Now, sometimes you can't make movement with the person that you're involved with, so, you know, doing some journaling and prayer around that is helpful. Make sure that you are looking at what your guilt factors are. Maybe you're making them major league guilt factors, and they're really minor league guilt factors. And so maybe you have to change your perspective. And that's what she says is in week 2, you envision a redo. Reframing is so important. Sometimes we reframe things in our brain while we are having a kind of a inner conversation in our head, like how we would have redone a conversation with someone or how we would have acted differently if we'd just been more grown up. The truth of the matter is that every decade that I've lived, I look back at the decade before and say to myself, God, I was young. And some of my octogenarian friends say to me, oh my God, you're just a youngster in your mid-60s. So the truth is that we should be learning throughout all of our lifetime and never close down from the learning factor in interpersonal relationships or what allows us to feel certain things that cause us to be guilty in some form or fashion. Because I think that even though guilt can be a useless emotion, it also can be an emotion that is warrants us getting a lesson or gives us some kind of catalyst for growth. So envision a redo. Pick a different emotion. Sometimes guilt and sadness and anxiety are all on the same continuum. And when we're stressed, it's very easy to be self-critical. In fact, you have to ask, is your inner voice always a self-critical inner voice? Sometimes that comes from being raised with somebody that was critical, and that goes down generational patterns. Some people live through criticism, love through criticism. That's the way that their vibrational frequency works, and it takes a while to do that reframe. Realize that you're just human, for God's sakes. You know, a lot of times we look at Jesus' godliness, but we don't look at his manliness, and some of the times throughout our stories from the Bible that tells us that he lost his temper or was impatient. You know, we are made in God's likeness, so therefore we are sometimes working hard at trying to figure out who we are as human beings. And when we fall short, it's nothing to worry about because it's all a learning curve. Shake off the small stuff. That's what she says for week 3. And look at things with a practical eye instead of always giving yourself a hard time. And then, laugh it off. Oh gosh, humor is the most important energy that we have on planet. Right now, I would imagine that we've got to find all the humor we can find in order to move forward because, laughter is truly the best medicine, and it is the strongest emotion between the other side of the veil and this side of the veil because it is an emotion that has joy and bliss. And if we believe in the afterlife, then we must believe that there's joy and bliss in the afterlife. And if we believe in hell, then that's what we're living on planet Earth right now. So it's all about removing the baggage that we have, our spirit in a suitcase called the body, removing the baggage and finding the joy and the bliss and the honor of being a human being, staying in integrity, and quit putting things out on Facebook that you don't know are true, and stop the malarkey and move into having some fun and joy and open your arms to whatever it is that's happening on the earth plane right now, because God has to have some kind of a plan. And lastly, find the silver lining in every situation. If we find the silver lining in every situation, then we can release guilt. Because again, if you feel guilty about something, it means you're supposed to learn, and you can't change the past. You can only change your behavior in the future. You can only partner with your higher power in spirituality. Move out of ego and drama. Do not let fear overtake you. Take off your cement shoes and open up to whatever it is you're supposed to learn and get from your soul. And so this is Tuesday. And oh, by the way, PayPal, yes, was down yesterday. So those of you who were getting tickets that were frustrated, PayPal is back up today. And so I still have some tickets available for December 13th. That's an afternoon of spiritual connections. I think we have about 4 or 5 tickets left. December 6th is closed down. Amanda Chavez, my daughter, who is a psychotherapist, and I will be doing our class November 5th. We have 2 spots left on that. So if you want to understand who you are at a karmic level, your karmic profile, your generational patterns from both energetic means and psychological means, grab those 2 tickets. Okay, have a great day.